Hey everyone, my name's Chris Lambert. On this channel, we talk Kanye West, and today we're talking this info dump post on WestSubEver by Dealey1. In case you don't know what WestSubEver is, but I'm sure if you're watching this channel, you do. It's become, I think, the best place on the internet for information if you're a Kanye fan. And not necessarily in the sense of, oh, I want to know historical information about what was going on here. It's like if you're on this part of this community, you're getting present day history. Like you're witnessing history in the making. You're essentially getting your master's degree in the current events in the world of Ye, which is really fascinating. And there's a lot of noise, right? Like information comes in and some of it doesn't check out or pan out. So you do get these like false positives that come up, but overall, it's just such a fun place to be if you want to be on the cutting edge of what's happening and like enjoy the thrill of, oh, this information just came out, like this is going on, maybe this person's happening. And if you can go with the tide of that, of sometimes things just don't pan out the way that you think, it's great, especially as you just have so many people that are like passionate and dedicated. I feel like it's going to be resume building at some point, like the skills that people acquire from being part of this community in terms of like sifting through information. But Dealey posted this info dump. I've spoken to a number of verified sources in the community, and this is what I have been told. As always, take everything with a grain of salt. We all know how things are with Kanye. And by that, just meaning that things change. Like Ye can tell us something is going to happen, and then who knows if it's actually going to happen. He's kind of flying by the moment to moment inspiration, and some of the times a concept is motivating enough that he follows it all the way through, but the process to get there can often be just a winding road, you know? So pretty much all of the D2 information is accurate as of right now, though. So Donda info. This is dating back right to that 2020-2021 period. There were Donda drops planned for May, June last year, but Kanye backed off last second. So the album came out at the end of August, start of September, right? But it seems like there was some building momentum in that period of May, June, especially San Francisco, Los Angeles, the Green Tiles studio. And it seems like Ye was geared up to release the album, but it's funny because we saw how much extra time they spent on it from the first listening party, July 22nd, all the way to the release at the end of August. In God's Country includes lines about Yeezy Gap, and versions with and without Dem Joints punch-ins exist. Sheck West recorded for several God's Country tracks, which is interesting. God's Country was, of course, the version of Donda before Donda was called Donda. When Wash Us in the Blood came out, the director of the music video, I forget his name, was it Arthur Jaffe? Ended up saying, like, he was the one that first revealed like God's Country, Kanye's new album, and kind of started some of the hype around that. But then the name quickly changed to Donda a couple months later. But Future and Travis did not record a song with Kanye when they visited Kanye at Pio Pico. Was that when it was rumored that Travis was trying to like do a whatchamacallit with Drake? He was trying to be the messenger between Ye and Drake and make things okay. There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it was. But ameliorate? No, that's not right. But the three of them were together. But there was rumors that maybe they recorded music, and this is just saying like, no, nothing was ever actually recorded with the three of them. God Got Me is great. The first version of the song is a 20-minute freestyle. Now that is something I would love to hear. A 20-minute freestyle, that's essentially Jesus Lord, but times 3. Everything was worked on again in 2021. So, right, like 2020, they were doing all this work on God's Country, and then Donda, Ye was tweeting out those track lists that we saw in 2021 for that September release, or in 2020 for that September release that never happened. So then 2021, they reworked everything. Victory Boyd was on version of 24. Victory Boyd first showed up in the Jesus is King era, I do believe, or maybe it was as early as Yandi, but definitely Jesus is King era. Victory Boyd was part of things, and Ye had shown up at a concert with her family, I think, and she made some appearances at some of his Sunday services and live performances, but never made it onto an official track as far as I'm aware. The version of Donda seen in the file list Kanye tweeted a picture of has new drums not heard in the Twitter snippet he posted a few days earlier. Okay. That's some information that I'm just like, that just doesn't mean all that much to me. Like, I don't think the drums are going to be so like gigantically different that I'm like, oh man, if only we had that. Donda 2 info, which is probably what people are really interested in at this point. Drillmatic comes out on the 12th. This is the game's album. So we should expect Ye to come with the game. I guess that just means that like during the release party or when the game is excited about the album or doing something for the album, maybe Ye will be there, or maybe we should expect Ye to be on a couple songs. We know that Yeezy is on the album, but maybe there's more that they recorded that's going to appear. Maybe Ye has like 3 guest features on the album, or maybe it's just Yeezy and that's it. But you would expect with how much we saw Ye in the game at the beginning of this year that maybe Ye is still going to be present by the time this album releases. But it's also Ye, so he might just be like, sorry, not around. DJ Khaled is dropping at the end of the month. If you remember, earlier in the year, Ye showed up in Miami, was recording with DJ Khaled, and we've heard some snippets of things. And I'm pretty sure the beat in Ye's verse was fire, or what we were hearing of it was fire, if I'm remembering correctly. But it said a snippet of that song has released, so I'm looking forward to that. Like, I'm not always looking forward to like DJ Khaled music. Nothing against it, but it's not something where I'm just like, yes. But this time I'm like, yes. Verified source, We Did It Kid has been finished. We Did It Kid, one of the Donda 2 tracks. We heard an initial version of it at the Donda 2 listening party where we heard a lot of initial versions of songs. But this is saying that We Did It Kid has been finished. But it's Ye. We know that finished doesn't necessarily mean finished, and finished definitely doesn't mean will be released. But at least he reached a point where he thought it was finished. Who knows what that means? Yeezy Tech, Kano, whatever their name is, has been working on a drum machine and more polished STEM website. So Kano, under the direction of Alex Klein, is who worked with Ye to create the STEM player. We got right here in this very familiar box, and it's just saying that they've been working on other things. Like a drum machine, I don't think would have the same like fan use that the STEM player has, even though STEM players at both something that people can use just for fun while also being a tool for professional musicians. The drum machine falls much more into the professional tools category. A more polished STEM websites would be interesting to see what that is. I mean, the website is one of the only ways to get, or is the only way to get music on that thing. So if the STEM player is going to continue to be something that people are using, that Ye is promoting and updating, a more polished website is always a good thing. There's been talks about releasing scrapped Ye music on the STEM player. Also a good strategy. Like right now you have the leak community, right, that is profiting off of this unreleased music and just like snippets and sounds and what have you. I'm sure that Ye is aware of that, and I'm sure there have been talks of how can we profit off of this. It's just like Yeezy Sound. There is the version of Yeezy Sound that's just like the artist roster, right? Ye had posted a picture of Yeezy Sound a couple years back that included Casey Pluto's name on it, of just artists that I think he was working with at the time. It's almost like the new good music, just outside of being attached to a label the way that good music is. But Yeezy Sound is also a much more practical thing, from as much as I understood it from, I think it was Mike Dean talking about it in an interview. They create all this music, right? I mean, you can see here, where is it? Digital Nas. During Donda 2 era, there was over 50 Digital Nas beats sent in, but not all of them are documented or bounced. Like 50 beats. They go through so much and make so much music in these sessions for albums. And it's just like, we're not using 90% of what it is we came up with. What should we do with it? Yeezy Sound, you just make it available for purchase from other artists. So I think that's what they were doing in kind of a professional sense. So like the whatchamacallit, oh my god, the stem player, the stem player, the drum machine, the Yeezy Sound, making these beats available for artists to kind of purchase. Like, I'm gonna take the drums from this, I'm gonna take some of the production sounds from this. I feel like he's been finding ways to monetize the music he's not using, with Yeezy Sound being that. I had to work my way back to the original point. And so I could see the idea of like, well, leakers are profiting off of this. Why don't we find a way to push it towards the stem player, and then people can have it, but then we're also getting more people to buy the stem player. It makes the stem player more worthwhile that you're getting these updates, which would be awesome. Could you imagine like a more polished Can You Be or extended Can You Be? Could I be more excited by that? I don't think so. Can You Be? Anyway, a projector has been proposed as a new device made by Yeezy Tech. Ye seems to use a lot of projectors from what we've seen in the warehouses that he's at. We saw that in 2018, 2019, was that it? Or was it 2020 when he was in the giant warehouse in Atlanta? And he was playing like Blade Runner 2049 on the wall, right? Or we saw when he was posting YouTube clips in 2020 to Twitter, it was like a projection screen on the wall, or projector on the wall, showing like the YouTube footage that he was posting. Or was it just a giant TV? Oh, there was that huge remote control. Maybe it was a TV and I'm misremembering. But I could just see with Ye's affinity to having videos playing while he works or in the spaces in which he's working, why a projector would just be something like, let's do a projector. There was another LP plan that was supposed to coincide with the stem player pop-up. LP, not like a EP LP album, but LP I think is in listening party. So they're going to do a listening party with a stem player pop-up. There was a stem player pop-up at the Donda 2 listening party in Miami, and I think they sold like a good number of stem players if I remember correctly. So I get why they would do more of it. It's like the movie theater doesn't make money from tickets, they make money from concessions. Same thing with like sports. Like, they're making a lot of money from people buying concessions at the stadium more so than selling tickets. I can imagine it's the same thing with like merch and concerts. Like, Ye sells so much more like clothing and stem players when he puts on a show, that the idea of just having these listening parties to move merchandise and move product is probably really profitable, if you can, you know, find a place, have something to promote, and have something people are interested in. But it's Ye, so there's always going to be something that people are interested in. The album was supposed to be released on streaming as of a couple months ago, which is an interesting note. And I don't know who Dealey's talking to. Like, is it a direct source, like somebody that directly talked to Ye, or is it the friend of somebody? Like, what degree of telephone is going on with the message being passed down and maybe garbled? It makes sense too. We saw this with The Life of Pablo, where The Life of Pablo was going to be exclusive to Tidal, and then 4 months later it was exclusive nowhere. It was just available everywhere. So it makes sense that it's like stem player only, and then finally goes to streaming platforms. But it not being on streaming platforms is either because Ye decided to rework the entire album, doesn't want to release the album, like it got yandied, or they're still finishing up things like We Did It Kid, and it will get there eventually. We don't really know. The album was supposed to be released on streaming. Yeah. There's been a strong rumors that a music video was recorded as of like mid-June for 5:30 Dear Summer. Actually, I've seen this like 5:30 Dear Summer come up a few times over the last weeks. I have no idea what it is. But there was there were rumors of a music video in 2021 or 2020 as well. I think it was the Hurricane video that was supposed to have Little Baby in it. I think they recorded that, and that never released. So we know that Ye's recorded music videos in the past. That wasn't even the first one, but he's recorded multiple music videos in the past, and nothing necessarily comes of it, but it's at least something to note. During Donda 2, there was over 50 digital Nas beats. A source who has interacted with a number of notable artist engineers has claimed that The Weeknd recorded for Donda 2. I get that. Like, Mike Dean and Weeknd are like bonding pretty hard right now. It seems like they had connected previously in 2020, 2021. Or no, Mike Dean worked with Weeknd way back in like 2016, right? 2015. So they have known each other for a while. Ye and Weeknd, of course, in 2016 worked together. But it seemed like after 2021 that Weeknd and Ye just like connected again. And it wouldn't surprise me that Weeknd recorded something for Donda 2. It's just a question of like, does Ye want to use it? What's going on? But Mike Dean's actually currently on tour with The Weeknd, which is awesome, and has been doing like opening sets before Weeknd performances. So Ye fans that are also Weeknd fans have gotten to see Mike Dean perform, which is cool. There's LP 11 content planned for very soon. That's not listening party 11, but actually like album 11. So sometimes referring to Donda 2 as Donda 2, but oftentimes just saying, well, whatever the next album's called, it's LP 11, whether it's Donda 2 or something different. Content planned for very soon, although as it is Kanye, things may get pushed back last second. Count on that. The rollout has supposedly already is beginning now. Which maybe, just the way like God's Country rollout was supposed to begin with Wash Us in the Blood, the same way that like the Yandi rollout was going to begin in 2018, that Jesus is King rollout began and then went on hiatus for a little bit before the album came out, more with like a whimper in October than with the bang that it would have been in September. So it seems like almost that Ye kicks off the rollout to see what happens if they really get to the end of the rollout at this point. But it doesn't necessarily mean something's coming. But at least we're at the point where maybe something more is starting to happen. I do think that Donda 2 was coming too quickly after Donda 1. Ye's never released an album that soon right after another. The quickest is like, what, graduation or college dropout to late registration, right? That was just over a year between those projects. It would make more sense to me that you have the initial run with Donda 2 and then Ye's kind of stewing on it, making changes, seeing what's coming out of that. It was the same thing with Yeezus when Yeezus came out in 2013. A few months later, he announced like the sequel to Yeezus, the next album, it's coming. We're already working on it. It's dropping soon. And then it was 2.5 years later that we finally got it in The Life of Pablo. So it's same thing in 2019. Like Jesus is King comes out, well, Yandi, Yandi after Ye, and that doesn't come out, but eventually becomes Jesus is King. And then right after Jesus is King, it's going to be God's Country, but then that doesn't necessarily come out. It's Donda, then that doesn't really come out. And then eventually we got the version of Donda we did. I think that's just kind of how the process goes at this point. It's a rollout to see what happens, and then you take the momentum from that, the music from that, pick some new directions, and then try a rollout again and see what happens. But I'm sure we'll get new music eventually here. It might not be in 2022, but the process is definitely like going. It is assumed that the drops will coincide with each other. What drops? I don't know what drops. Did I miss something? It is assumed the drops will coincide with each other. Like LP 11, Donda 2, or like something with a stem player. Okay. These drops include, oh, okay. It's just the next line. I should have kept reading. I read this before, but it's been like 12 hours. I read it this morning. These drops include the following. Yeezy Gap mainline is being worked on again. So Yeezy Gap, we've seen like random bits and pieces, right? The hoodie, jackets. We've seen the Yeezy Gap engineered by Balenciaga, which is cool stuff, but it's not like the Yeezy Gap stuff we thought we were going to be getting, like just with things with a bit more color. It's not to say that Yeezy Gap engineered by Balenciaga is bad. It's just we were seeing some of the initial photos from Yeezy Gap and some of the mock-ups, and it was like, oh, this is cool. This is like brights. We've been in this like midnight Donda era for a while now. So you wonder if like Yeezy Gap mainline is going to continue that, or if we're going to enter into a different visual era. But we're expecting some kind of bigger like Yeezy Gap release than what we've gotten so far. If that's being worked on again, that's great. Donda 2 LP11 is being worked on. There are new footwear waves. There's a new supply site, which like I think you could just kind of assume all this stuff. Of course, he's still working on Yeezy Gap. Of course, he's working on new music. He's always working on music. It's just a question of if we're gonna get it or not. And then, of course, they're working on new Yeezys. And Ye had posted a photo asking about what footwear he can wear or make that doesn't break his Adidas contract. So it seemed clear from that he's working on some kind of shoe you would imagine with Yeezy Gap. There's a new supply site, which Yeezy Supply, which I don't know if Yeezy Supply is like with Adidas or if it's his own thing, but I know Nick Knight is supposed to help do a Yeezy Supply redesign. I don't know if that's still the case, but that's been talked about for a while as well. And there are Yeezy sunglasses being worked on. This has been confirmed to be true since I saw this info. Yeah, we've definitely talked about the shades. Kim K7 has said this as of a couple of weeks ago. Things have happened in which you'd expect Donda 2 songs not to be STEM player exclusive. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, all things with Ye at this point, we'll see, right? But it's some exciting stuff, and it feels like the first time we've gotten some real like information momentum or momentum based on information in a while. It's been pretty quiet on the Western Front for a minute. So it's cool to at least be hearing something about what's been going on behind the scenes. It's just a question of how much of this is actually going to come to fruition. But if you want to be kind of following along, if you like hearing this kind of stuff, definitely go to Reddit, hit up WestSubEver, and just join in the madness. You're going to get your master's degree in contemporary Kanye. But this is the end of this video. Until next time, stay wavy and keep it loopy. Cheers.